After our amazing election victory, the forgotten men and women, remember we used to talk about the forgotten men and women before the election? Guess what? They're not forgotten anymore, right? Anymore. No, they're not forgotten anymore, folks. In fact, they're trying to figure you out. They're saying, the obstructionists, how do we get them to vote for us? I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
It was Trump boasting about how he's lifted up the forgotten men and women, Americans in small, mostly rural communities across the U.S. But exclusive NBC reporting today about a new DNC strategy for 2020, zeroing in on the impact Trump's actually had on the local communities he promised to help. Our colleague Heidi Presbella reports, quote, voters in hundreds of small and medium-sized towns across America are about to be targeted with digital ads, press conferences, and billboards featuring neighbors and friends who say they've been betrayed by President Trump. One state the DNC will likely target the next time Trump visits is Ohio. He was there after the election and told supporters, quote, I'll tell you what, I rode through your beautiful roads coming up from the airport and I was looking at some of those big, once incredible job-producing factories. My wife Melania said, what happened? I said, those jobs have left Ohio. They're all coming back. They're all coming back. A little over a year later, not far from where Trump held that rally, General Motors closed their Lordstown plant and laid off 15% of all their salaried workers. Joining us now, NBC News national political reporter Heidi Presbella, author of that great reporting. Heidi, the power of a story, not just in a local community, but to tell a story nationally, there's really nothing like it. But the power of that failure can also really be lowered on a candidate that comes up short, especially if he has 4 years to deliver.
Because it's people's lives that they're actually living, Nicole. And despite the numbers that the president often touts at his rallies, these booming urban numbers, in many of these forgotten places where he went to in these small and medium-sized communities, things are not better. And in some cases, like you just mentioned, things are worse. So this is a major expansion of the DNC's strategy to go specifically into small and medium-sized towns, Nicole, and to splice footage of the very specific promises that the president made against what's actually happened there. And there's numerous examples. You cited the Lordstown example. There's also the example of the closure of the Harley-Davidson plant in Kansas City, where he specifically pledged his allegiance to Harley-Davidson. And there's been decimation there of those jobs and also down effects of the jobs that have gone away in many other factories that serviced that factory. And so this is their strategy to try and really localize this race, because they believe that despite these economic indicators, Nicole, that really indicate what's going on in urban centers and many of these rural areas where Trump specifically said, I'm your man, I'm going to prioritize the forgotten man, things have not gotten better.
Congressman.
Look, they're going after an area where the president arguably was somewhat effective in 2016 and is setting himself up to be effective as well. Because he doesn't care about the truth or the nuances of policy, he goes into communities and says, I'm going to fix something that my predecessors never fixed. Just recently, he promised the Great Lakes Initiative funding, went to Florida for the Everglades, went to the southwest border to celebrate part of Obama's border barrier, if you will. But what the DNC is doing is they're reminding people that there's a difference between thinking the president's simply a liar and thinking you can't trust him. And what they're saying is this president is not trustworthy. He has promised to change your lives, to help you with health care, to help you with a tax bill that now favors the rich. But are you better off now than you were in 2016? And he's reminding them that for most Americans, the answer is no. But it's a soft way of also saying the president lied to you. And this way, if the DNC does it, the Democratic candidates don't have to do that.
It's also, I mean, I think you get to the larger point. I mean, the central question that motivates, you got like a foot shorter. What'd you do?
What? I didn't. I don't think I got shorter at all. Did I? Joyce is going. Maybe my seat slid down a little. I don't know.
The question that voters answer is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And because he made these, we cover him as a lying liar who lies all the time. Liar, liar, pants on fire. voice, like 9,874 lies. Nobody seems to have their back up except the people who are already critical of him. But these are people who, by and large, supported him. Yeah. These are people who trusted him. These are people who put their family's finances and livelihood in his hands. And if he comes up short with these voters, this could be politically devastating.
Look, I mean, he's got a core of strength that has stayed with him so far throughout the term in a lot of these places, particularly in rural America. But I think David Jolly's right about a really important thing. In politics, there's a notion of salience, right? Salience is different. It's a meaningful thing. Like the lies that Trump tells, a lot of voters just write them off. People get the notion that Donald Trump is promiscuous with the truth. But if you can show them a lie that directly affects something in their life, that's the kind of thing that becomes a voting issue. That's what salience is all about. And I think that's what the Democrats are trying to key in on here, which is a lot of these lies, we focus on them, we should focus on them, we're right to focus on them. But the ones that directly affect the real lives of real people are the ones that could actually sway in a close election, in a crucial place, in a crucial district, could really make a difference.
Heidi, there's also something very precise about what the DNC is doing, very complementary to what their field seems to be doing, which is out shaking hands, doing retail politics. This seems very targeted. This seems very technical. They've got their tactics, billboards, digital ads. Is there a hope that the eventual nominee takes this over, or are they prepared to run this for the next 22 months?
They are prepared to take this straight through 2020, regardless of whatever the nominee is doing, because, Nicole, they have been building this up for 3 years, really. They told me that right after the president was elected, the Monday after, they began sending Freedom of Information Act requests to federal agencies to try and get correspondence, for instance, with states and municipalities about the effects of his policies. And they're going to pinpoint some of these local towns and municipalities and drop into the results of those FOIAs and splice them with the president's visits to those areas. So they're really going to put a human face. They're going to try and find your neighbor and your friend and put them on TV or bring them to the press conference.
Heidi, it's incredible reporting. We're grateful to have it and you. Thank you for spending some time with us. We're going to